Right, hello ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to today's video. And today we're going to be taking a look at this Xbox One console. As you can see, when we power it on, it actually doesn't boot, and it actually fails to update and won't go into the recovery environment at all. In fact, what we do see when we attempt to do so is what you will see on the screen in a second when we get the E203 error. And regardless of whether we try to use the offline system update tools or we just try to reboot it, we actually get nothing at all. So what we need to do is actually wipe the hard disk drive because we have corrupt data on there, which is preventing any updates and the system from starting. So we're going to format the disk, repartition it, copy some update files to it, and hopefully that'll recover. So let's see how we go.
This particular video should be useful to those of you who have a console either with no hard disk drive, so maybe you've been given one from a friend, or you've picked one cheap on eBay and of course it's turned up with no hard disk drive in it, or you have a console of your own and the disk is clicking away and you know it's completely knackered. Some of you may have seen an earlier video that we made with regards to actually recovering from a black or green screen of death previously, and of course in that video we managed to actually recover the hard disk drive and the data on it and actually get it to boot again. But if you have tried that and of course on your particular machine you can't get that to work, previously you were pretty stuck, to be honest with you. There wasn't a lot you could actually do. A couple of scripts did turn up on Linux which enabled us to create new hard disk drives, but they were a little bit buggy and slightly hit and miss. What we have come across recently is actually a little script which is based on some of those earlier Linux scripts, but actually works in Windows. This is the one I actually recommend you use, and of course most people I would imagine out there are Windows users, so this is good news all around. So there's a couple of things you're going to need. You are going to need your brand new hard disk drive, which you've picked up from the store. Ideally 500 gigabytes in size, although up to 2 terabytes will work. So that's what this script will support anyway. You are also going to need a USB stick to actually copy some files to for the actual boot of the machine for the first time. You are going to want to download the actual script and the Microsoft Offline System Update version 1 tool from Microsoft.com. The links to both of those files are in the description of this video. Now the Offline System Update version 1 tool is not to be confused with the Offline System Update Diagnostic Tool version 1. The Offline System Update Diagnostic Tool versions 1, 2 and 3 have been superseded by this brand new tool, OSU version 1. Think of it as OTSUD version 4. Quite why the hell they didn't call it that, and they've kind of confused things. I have no idea why they've done that, but they have. So anybody who is on anything like a recent Dash update, I have tested this on the very latest Dash update. It does work. It works perfectly. So any prior to that should be good too. So without further ado, let's get on and do some work. So on this particular machine, to save a bit of time, we have downloaded the OSU version 1 tool from Microsoft and unzipped the zip file onto our desktop of this virtual machine here. So the contents of that zip file is indeed this $system update folder here, and within there is a series of, I think it's 7 files, is it? 7 or 8? 7 files, yeah. Totaling 3.88 gigs in size. So you are going to want to download and extract that somewhere useful. And we've also downloaded the zip file for the script. Many thanks to, I think it's Tails976 over on teamx360.co.uk forums for that one. He's the one who's put a little bit of Windows magic into the original script. So yeah, many thanks goes to him for that one. It took quite a bit of trawling around the net when the Linux scripts were actually failing me to find that, and actually to find the link again so I could give the lad some credit for it. Yeah, seems to take a bit of doing, but we got there. So this is the file from the download, and as I say, this is the extracted OSU 1 zip which you get from Microsoft. So what we're going to do is we are going to create a folder on our C drive of this virtual machine in the root of C, and we're just going to call it something like Xbox. Okay, that's lovely. And then from there, what we're going to do is we're going to extract the contents of this Xbox One HDD Master 3 zip file, and we're going to extract that to our newly created folder. So we go into this PC, we're going to scroll down to where it says local disk C, and we're going to extract it to our Xbox folder which we've just created. And we're not going to show the files once it's completed. We're just going to let it do it. So hopefully shouldn't take too long. Okay, so we're all done there. So if we have a look in our C Xbox folder, we can see we have this Xbox One HDD-master folder, and then the actual Linux part of the script is this create Xbox drive.sh script. This is the original. In the Win folder is the Windows version, which we are going to be utilizing today. So in order to actually do this, let's take a look in this PC. So we have our future to be Xbox One hard disk drive in our USB to SATA caddy, and that is hooked up to our laptop here. So if we right click on this PC and go to manage, we should get shortly an option to access disk management. So if we go into there, this can also be accessed by control panel administrative tools, and you'll see our new disk comes up there, initialized disk. So disk must be initialized before we can use it. So we can see there disk 1 is an unknown. It is a 500GB disk, so this is just to replace a standard 500GB hard disk drive. We're going to say MBR is absolutely fine, say OK to that. The script will do with this exactly what it needs to do. So we can see there that now our disk is available and there's 465.76 gigabytes unallocated storage space there. So that's absolutely lovely. So what we want to do, and that is disk 1. So that'll be worth making a quick note of that. And then so we can close out of that and we know our disk is ready to rock. So what we're going to do now is we are going to, I don't know why I've closed that because I want that in a minute. So this PC, C Xbox, will be extracted as zip file there, and of course it's called Xbox One HDD-master. So what we're going to do is we're going to go into Start menu and we are going to type CMD for command prompt. Once that turns up, we're going to right click and we're going to run as administrator. And then that's going to give us our command prompt here. So it starts off in the C Windows System 32 folder. So we want to be in C:\Xbox. So the way, there's several ways of doing this if you're au fait with DOS, but if you're not, then just follow along with me. So I usually just do cd ... cd ... which takes me back to the root of C, and then we want to be in CD space Xbox. And then we had that folder where we've extracted that HDD master folder, didn't we? So if we just have a look what they call that. So it's Xbox One HDD-master is the folder we want to be in. So we can do CD space X, and if we press the tab key on the keyboard, it will actually complete that folder name for us, and we can just say enter. And then there was the Win folder inside that, wasn't there? So we want to be CD space Win and enter. And then inside that folder, we have the script for create Xbox drive, don't we? So we can do the same thing with the tab key again. So we can start typing the create and press tab, and it completes the command for us. And we can just press enter, and that will run. And our script now actually starts running in the bottom of that window. So you can see here that it was last updated on the 30th of June 2016. So we can press any key to continue. So we'll do that. And what it will now do is it will go away and try to find any disks that we have hooked up to this PC. And as you can see, we have a 32GB drive and 465GB drive. The 32GB is the C drive of this virtual machine. The disk 1 is our SATA drive, which we are going to be putting into our Xbox One, disk 1 of course. So this is going to go away, format, partition, and do everything we want it to do with our drive so we can use it in our Xbox. So it asks us what disk number we actually want, although it does time out after a certain degree of time. I think it's 30 seconds, and we're waffling on, so we're just going to rerun that. Press any key to continue. So we are wanting to utilize disk 1 here, this 465GB drive. So all we do at the command there is press number 1, and it will go away. And of course our disk is completely blank, so there's no partitions or anything on there for it to identify. So it will just confirm that it's going to erase all data on this disk. Do we want to continue? Well, yes we do. As soon as we press Y, That will run, and it tells us that disk 1 will be formatted as Xbox One, and then it asks us to pick what size disk we want. So if we have, you know, a larger than standard 500GB drive, we can select that. If we press A, it will automatically try to calculate the partition sizes as required, but we just have a standard 500GB disk, so we are going to press B and enter. If in doubt, use A and enter. But if you're just wanting to format your existing Xbox One hard disk drive, or you have a standard 500GB drive that you just want to prepare for your Xbox One, then B will suffice nicely. So this is going to go away and do a load of stuff, and you can see some bits and pieces popping up on the taskbar down below. Ignore that for now, you don't want to touch it. So we're just going to allow this to run. So any of those prompts at the bottom we'll deal with later. You don't want to touch anything while it's doing this. Okay, so it's going through now and actually preparing our partitions and formatting them. This will just take a minute or so. Okay, so it's now assigning drive letters so we can access our newly created partitions. In a moment it should tell us what those drive letters are. So again, you know, any pop-ups, any slide-ins like that, if you're on a later version of Windows, anything on your taskbar which is flashing at you, just ignore it for now. Just allow the script to do what it wants to do. As I say, it does take it a minute or so. So this is the script now reassigning the drive letters as it prepares those partitions for us. Hopefully in a minute it's going to confirm that all that has gone through okay for us. Okay, so we can see there that now we're back at the command prompt, and we have our 5 Xbox partitions created there, U, V, W, X and Y, and we can see that the GUID is listed next to each, so as long as there's one of these big long strings here next to each of those 5 partitions, we should be good to go. And we can see there that it's found the X drive. The X drive is particularly important because that's our system update partition, and that's the one we're going to be utilizing next. So providing you see all that and you return to the command prompt, you can type exit just there to come out of the script. Now anything that you see here with regarding to having to format disks or anything like that, you just want to say cancel to those, because those were all created during the script and have since been processed. It should be absolutely fine. You can close any open windows or anything like that you might have on your machine now. If you right click on this PC, you can go into manage again, where before we had disk 1 of course was a uninitialized disk and it had absolutely nothing on it. Now if we go into disk management, we should find that disk 1 indeed has all our Xbox One partitions, and it should all be looking a little bit happier there now. And if we actually go into this PC, or my computer as it may be on your computer, what you need to do is go into our system update folder, and then we need to create a couple of folders. So we can right click, new folder, just call it capital A, nothing else, and then hit enter. Do the same again, so right click new folder, capital B and enter. So we have 2 folders now named A and B. And remember earlier we extracted our OSU version 1 zip file, so we have this $system update folder. If we go into there, we want to highlight everything apart from update.xvd. So to do that, I held Control and A, and then which selected all the files, and then kept hold of Control, clicked Updater, which deselects it. So all I have now are these 6 files here: host, settings template, system, system aux, system misc, and system tools.xvd. So I'm going to right click on those and I'm going to copy. And then I'm going to go back to our X drive. And then I'm going to go into the A folder. And I'm just going to paste those in. So that's going to whir away now, and that's going to complete. And then I'm also going to do the same. I'm going to go back up a level, and I'm going to go into our B folder, and I'm going to do the same again. So I'm going to paste those same files into the B folder as I'm currently pasting into A, and that's going to take it a little while. It's going to be a little bit slower as well, because of course we're doing this through a virtual machine. And then of course what we need to do is just allow that to finish. So once that's completed and the copy has finished, we'll come back and we'll proceed with the next step. Okay, so we're just coming up to the completion of that file copy now. Okay, and there we go. So if we actually have a look in our A and B folders again. So in A we have those 6 files, and in folder B we should have those same 6 files, and indeed we do. So what we need to do now is go back to the root of our X drive there, and back in our OSU $system update folder, remember this updated.xvd file which we didn't copy earlier? Well, now we're going to take a copy of that, and we're going to go, as I say, into the root of our system update folder, and we're going to paste into there. So that updated.xvd file should appear alongside our A and B folders, and there we go. So the one thing to watch out for is that in Microsoft's infinite wisdom, we have System Update and System Update 2. You don't want to be using System Update 2. Make sure you've used System Update for those file copies, because if they're on System Update 2, this isn't going to work. So it has to be on that System Update folder. Sorry, that System Update partition. So providing you've got those folders and that update.xvd file in the root of that System Update partition, you should be good to go. So we don't have to do anything else. We can literally just eject our drive, and that would be that. So at this point, this is where you now need to actually prepare your USB stick. So remember earlier on, you know how we said we needed a USB stick? You're going to want one that's at least 4 GB in size. And if you actually plug USB stick into the PC, and we'll just offer that stick to this virtual machine, you can see that in this instance I've actually already copied. I've formatted this USB stick as NTFS, and then I've copied basically the inside the OSU1.zip, the $system update folder. I've basically just copied that $system update folder to the root of that USB stick. So once you go in there, you have all the relevant files and information required for the OSU1 recovery environment there on that USB stick. So that's that, ladies and gentlemen, in a nutshell. So our drive is ready to go back into our Xbox. We have a USB stick there to get us into recovery. So now it all depends on what version of the dashboard you're actually on. So if you're on anything like a recent revision dashboard, you may be aware that in fact the newer dashboard kernels actually have an inbuilt recovery environment. You don't actually need to boot them into USB to get them into recovery anymore. You can just hold eject and the bind button and press, keep them held in whilst pressing the power button, and it should boot up to a little troubleshooting menu. If you do get that, then you're on a relatively recent dashboard revision, and you will need to do a slightly different button combination to actually get your machine to boot and to apply the update as to what you might normally have done. So remember on the older dashboard versions where the OSU DT 1, 2 and 3 tools, you basically just popped it onto the USB stick, you pressed bind and eject and kept them held, and you pressed the power button, you kept it held until you heard a second power up tone, and then it would go through and prepare the update. Well, if you're on an older dashboard version, of course you can still do that, but if you're on a newer one with that recovery menu on there for you, then what you need to do is keep hold of bind and eject as you normally would, press power as you normally would whilst keeping the other two held. And then, of course, what you would do is, as I say, once you'd heard the second tone, you'd normally let go. Well, you keep it held, and you'll very shortly afterwards hear yet another, so a third power up tone. Once you hear that, then you can let go, and that basically jumps past the menu and forces the software update. So we'll show you anyway, because we've got a box here that we need to actually, obviously, get upgraded again now. So join me back at the TV, and I'll show you what we mean. Right, okay then, ladies and gentlemen. So what we're going to do now is we are going to boot our Xbox One to recovery. So this particular machine actually has a later kernel on it. So I want to show you what we mean by, in the new recovery environment, what you actually get. So if we just remove the USB stick from our machine, just try to boot it now. So bearing in mind this is the first run. So we get the green screen. So on first run this may take some time. Now sometimes this will actually go in, and other times it won't. So we'll just see what it does. So on first run, after replacing a disk and actually popping those OSE1 files onto the system update partition, what this is now doing on first run at this point is actually unpacking all those files and putting them where they need to go. Now, what you will maybe find is that some of this information is actually stored in Flash, so it may still turn around and say hello, whoever you are. Even though in fact the disk is completely new and has been wiped, and consequently it also remembers some tile information, so it'll remember maybe that you had a big game, the last used application, so it might be a game tile, so it'll remember it was there, but it won't have any data like thumbnail images or even be able to remember what game it was. So you'll usually find the tiles might be called something slightly wonky like app data ms something or other. It all looks a bit weird, and obviously, some of the pictures are missing, some of the, fonts might look a little bit awry, but that's fine. As long as it goes into dashboard, from that point you can actually either plug a network cable in or hook it up to your Wi-Fi through the settings menu and actually force a system update from there, and it will actually go away and install the full dash revision. Alternatively, what you can do is actually boot it down into recovery via the USB stick, which we prepared back on the PC there, and actually force it to do a full system software restore from the USB, and that will also cure it too. So we can see here that this is actually taking a fair old while, but the key is to be patient. This can take anywhere up to 10 minutes on first boot, so sometimes it's fairly quick, sometimes it's a couple of minutes, other times it can be it can take it a while. If you are of the impatient persuasion, then I do recommend you probably just go away and have a cup of tea, or go watch some TV, or go play PlayStation if you've got one. Rather than just sitting here watching this, because it's like they say, a watched kettle never boils, and the same can certainly be said for this. So, but as I say, it's just a case of being patient and waiting for it. So I may end up cutting this at some point if it's going to take like any much longer than this, but we'll see how we go. Okay, so we're gonna boot into Dash, and there we go. Actually, appears to have gone through okay. So what we're going to do is we're just going to sync our controller to this console. Okay, so let's go through and just have a look and see what we've got. So it looks like, to be honest, this is a fairly clean, so you can see there that it actually still, your old recommendations for friends and things like that are still in there, and so bits and pieces do survive the process. So you've got your sign-in name there and things like that. So those do still survive, even though there's nothing on the disk. So it can be a bit weird. You'll notice as well we only have a home tab, we don't have anything else. So what we can do, as I say, is you can either force a full update from the USB, or alternatively you can just force the update via the settings menu. Now, I'm not sure I've actually got network here. I don't think I do, which is irritating. But what you can do, you know how earlier on we were saying you can actually force a full update via the USB stick. Well, what you can do is, if you want to do that, if you turn off and do a full shutdown, looks like this was actually not in the power saving mode, but actually in the full throttle mode instead, the instant startup mode by the looks. So what we're going to do is we're going to wait for the Xbox to shut down. Okay, there we go. Okay, so remember earlier on how we were talking about the inbuilt recovery menu? Well, let's just show you what that looks like. So we have no USB connected to this console at all. We're going to hold bind. So we're going to hold the bind and eject buttons, and we're going to press power. Okay, and we heard that secondary power up tone, and then we see the troubleshooting menu. So if you see that and you actually want to force an update via USB, what I tend to find is if you actually plug this in and then go to offline system update, the thing falls over, or it has a tendency to fall over. So what you can actually do is, if you power your machine off again, like so, and actually plug in the USB into the side of the machine and then do the same again. So press and hold the bind and eject buttons, tap power, keep everything held, and you'll hear that secondary tone. Keep everything held again, and then you hear the third tone, and then that actually forces through the update and will actually go through and apply the rest of the update. So when it hits about 5%, you'll hear yet another tone, so a fourth beep. Providing that sounds like a successful power-up tone, your software update has been recognised and will actually go through. And this should actually format the thing back to factory defaults, and you should find everything is a clean and out-of-the-box experience. Now, you may also find that rather than booting into the dash, it just boots up to the initial config screen as if it's been done in a hard reset, which is all good because that's what you want. So we're going to let this run through. We're going to let the update apply, and we will come back once that's finished. So join us shortly, ladies and gents. Okay, and that's that. So we've booted now back into the OS, and as you can see, it has gone to the full initialized state. And if we hit the A button now, it's going to take us right the way through the menu to set ourselves back up. And once we log back into our account, we should be back into the dashboard. So that, ladies and gentlemen, is that. So I hope you found that useful. And if you have been in a situation where you've probably had to replace a disk, or you suspect that your update issues are down to a corrupt disk. So say, for example, you're getting an error message, and even the OSA tool don't seem to be alleviating that for you, then it's always worth a good go trying to format your disk and seeing if that actually alleviates the issues, because most of the time, to be fair, it seems to do on these things. So as I say, hopefully you found that useful, and so if you did, I would very much appreciate it if you would like this video. Please remember to subscribe to the channel for more. We have a lot of games console repair videos if you're new to us, and this is the first video you've seen from ourselves. We cover Xbox One, PS4, and to be honest, anything else that we can get our hands on as and when, although that's been predominantly it for now. We have over 40 videos on the channel, so please do feel free to check us out if you're new. As I say, if you found it useful, please remember to like, and if you could click an ad or even just watch one, it would all help what we do here, and it would be very, very much appreciated. So from me, boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen, it's a thank you for watching, and I will see you very shortly on the next video. So thanks a lot, and it's bye from me. So for those of you who are wondering what we did, of course, we had the machine where occasionally we'd get to the green screen, but more often than not we would just sit at a black screen.